So if speed is constant, then only you can use this formula. If speed is not constant, as you can see, the speed started from 0 and till 3.3. So there's a change in the speed. And then from 3, so only part for which we can use a formula is this one, where the speed is constant. This part also, speed is decreasing. We cannot use this formula, speed is distance over time. So whenever you're finding or distance is equals to speed multiplied by time, this formula is only valid if the speed is constant, or when the speed is changing, you can use a formula for average speed multiplied by time. That case you will also get the distance. But when you have a speed time graph, the area under the graph, the purpose, the reason why they are giving you speed time graph, so you can use the speed time graph, and from its area under the graph you can find the distance travel. So this formula is not valid here. Why it is not valid? Because the speed was not constant. If speed was constant, then you will use this formula for solving or finding the distance in the previous part. And they mentioned use a graph to determine the distance from ground floor to the top floor. Is it clear that why this formula distance is equals to speed multiplied by time is not valid here? This is only valid if the speed is constant. But in the question, the speed is not constant. That is why we cannot use this formula. So a bus travel at a constant speed. So a bus is traveling at a constant speed. Distance time graph, what slope represents? Slope represents speed. So first it stopped for a short time, then like it was traveling with a constant speed, then it stopped for a short time and then travel at a higher constant speed. So speed time, distance time graph, the slope represents speed. So this is a constant speed. Then stop means the distance will not change, and then travel with a higher constant speed, so it will be steeper. The two lines should not be parallel. The third line should be steeper as compared to the first one. Both are constant speed. Like example, A and C are constant speed, but speed at C is higher than A. And for the next part, if this was a speed time graph, if in the question this was a speed time graph, a constant speed. So to represent a constant speed, the speed is not changing, so horizontal line. Then stop, so speed should be 0. And then higher constant speed, so the graph will be like this. If this was a speed time graph, but this is in the question, it is a distance time graph. So moving with a constant speed, then stop, and then higher constant speed. But to read that speed, it should change the speed. That's why the graph shows a variation. And for finding a distance, you will use area under the graph. So this is making a triangle. So for triangle, it will be half base. This value is 6, 7.5, and then multiply by 3.3. Then this is making a rectangle, which is starting from 7.5 and ending till 20. So this will be 12.5 multiplied by 3.3. And for the last part, it's also a triangle, so it will be half. Base is equals to 5 and height is 3.3. So you multiply base with height, you will get the final answer. Divide by 2 and then add them, because we need the total distance travel. So distance travel is area under the graph. Question number 2, any doubt in question 2? Any part of the question? 2A, 2 and D. Okay. Figure 2.1 shows a dummy of mass 70 kilogram used in a crash test to investigate the safety of a new car. The car approaches a solid barrier with a speed of 20 meter per second. Because if car is moving with the speed of 20 meter per second and dummy is inside the car, so what will be the speed of the dummy? The speed of the dummy is also 20 meter per second because it's inside the car, so both will have the same speeds. Calculate the momentum of the dummy immediately before the crash. So before the crash, the dummy was also moving with 20 meter per second, and the mass of the dummy is given 70. So momentum is a product of mass and velocity. What is the reason why 2 marks are there? 1 mark is for writing a formula, and the second here is to get the answer, like calculation part. Momentum is a product of mass and velocity. So mass of the dummy is given 70, and the velocity or speed at which it is moving is 20. 7 multiplied by 2 is 14, and then 2 zeros, so 1400 kilogram meter per second. Determine the impulse. Impulse means change in momentum. As a dummy or as a car hit the barrier and it stops suddenly. So if it is stopped, it means what is the final momentum? The final momentum will be 0. So if you want to calculate the impulse, this was the original initial momentum, and the formula to calculate the impulse is a change in momentum. Or we can say final momentum minus initial momentum. The final momentum is 0. Why the final is 0? Because the dummy stops. So final is 0. The initial momentum, it was moving with 1400. So 1400. When you get the answer for impulse or the change in momentum, 1400 Newton second. Negative sign shows like the object is slowing down or the object is stopped. That's why you will get a negative moment impulse here or change in momentum. Is it clear? The impulse is a final momentum minus initial momentum. Then for part 2D, the deceleration of a dummy is less than the deceleration of the passenger compartment. Explain why this will be benefit for the safety of the passenger. How this will be benefit for the safety of the passenger? Because as we have this formula, F is equals to ma. If acceleration is deceleration is small, it means the force will be small. If force is small force experienced by the object or a small force experienced by the passenger, so it will reduce the chance of injury. So as the deceleration of the dummy, and what is the relation between deceleration and time? They are inversely proportional. As the deceleration is less, it will take more time. As it will take more time, so it will experience less force. As it will experience less force, so it reduces the chance of injury. Example, you have two surfaces, one is rigid, another one is soft, like a mattress is there, and you drop two identical objects from the same height on the surface. Which object will experience greater force? When this object A strike the surface, immediately it will stop. And object B, when it hit the mattress, gradually or slowly it will stop. So which object will experience a greater force, A or B? So the force experienced on A or by A will be more than force experienced by B. So same thing happen as the acceleration is less, so it will take more time or it will experience less force, so it reduces the chance of injury. So when you write this answer, the reason, because some students want to explain in detail, so you can use all the lines. Otherwise, what happened? The acceleration or deceleration is small. So the object or passenger will experience small force which reduce the chance of injury. Is it clear, this part? Question 3, any doubt in question 3? Three C and 3A. Figure 3.1 shows an oil tank that has a rectangular base, the dimension 2.4 by 1.5. The tank is filled with oil of density 850 kilogram per meter cube and depth 1.5. Calculate the pressure exerted by oil. So how to calculate a pressure exerted by the liquid? The pressure exerted by the liquid depends on the density of the liquid, the gravity and depth. So what is the density? Density is 850. Gravity, it's fixed value 10 you have to take, and the depth, it's 1.5. So when you multiply all these three factors, you will get the pressure exerted by the liquid. So when you solve this part, the pressure, like multiplying all the factors, so you will get approximately 13,000 Pascal. Then the next part, the force exerted by the oil on the base. So how to calculate a force if we know the pressure? So we have the formula, the pressure is equals to force divided by area. So if we need a force, so force is pressure multiplied by area. The pressure, what is the pressure? Already we calculated, that is 13,000 Pascal. And area, what about the area? So you have to check the figure. As you can see, what is the base area of this rectangular block or box? 1.5 multiplied by 2.4. So area is length into width. So that will be equal to 1.5 times 2.4. So that will be 3.6, and then 3.6 multiplied by 13,000. So you will get the force, which is 46,000 newtons. In part C, when he's checking the level of the oil in a tank, a man drops a brass key into oil and it sinks to the bottom. State what this shows. Look, if you drop an object in a fluid or a liquid here in this example, and that object sink. So if the object sink, what you can conclude? You can say that the density of the brass is more than the oil. That's why brass key is more than oil. That's why it sink. Then what happened? Explain how attaching a key to a piece of wood could prevent the key from sinking. So what will happen? Now you mix the two substances, like you have a key which you attach wood as well, and you observe instead of sinking or sink into the container, it is floating. So what is the reason why? What attaching a wood is making to this, or making a difference to this? Basically what happened, now there is a combined density of these two. So what happened, the combined density of wood and brass is less than oil. That is why it will float. So when density is more, it will sink. When density is less, then it will float. Or less or equal also, it will float. Question number 4, any doubt? Is there any doubt in question number 4? So no doubt in 4. 4a, explain in terms of molecule why it is possible to compress gas but not liquid. Like why we are able to compress the gases but we are not able to compress the liquid. So because in gases the particles are far away from each other. The structure of the gas molecules, they are far away from each other. But in liquid the particles are closer to each other. That's why it is difficult to compress the liquid as compared to that of gas. So the answer here you will mention that the gas molecules are far away. So the molecules are far apart in gases compared to liquids, in which the molecules are closer, so it is difficult to compress. Compress here refers to when you apply a force. By applying a force, you are able to reduce its volume. We call that as compression. Any other doubt in question 4? Question number 5. Any doubt in question 5? A quantity of a gas is contained in a sealed container with a fixed volume. The temperature of a gas increase. In terms of molecule, 2 reasons why the pressure increase. So why the pressure is increasing? Because you increase, when we increase the temperature, the molecule, they're inside the container, we are increasing a temperature. So the molecules will collide more often. So hit the wall harder, you can say, or frequently, you can also say. Or they, due to continuous change in momentum, they exert or increase in forces there. Question number 6. Any doubt in question 6? Is there any doubt in question 6? Two students are measuring the speed of the sound. Students are provided with a pistol, stopwatch, and a measuring tape. Starting pistol, when fired, produces loud sound and a puff of smoke at same instant. Describe how a student could use the apparatus and how to calculate speed. So 4 marks are there. So basically what happened, this is a simple experiment. So at position A, there's a starting pistol, and at position B, another person is there with a stopwatch. And the distance between them is measured by a measuring tape. Because it is several meter, that's why a measuring tape. If it's less than 1 meter, we can use a meter rule or a meter scale. So what happened when a person at position A, he fires the shell? So two things happen. It will produce both sound and light. But because speed of light is super fast, it's 3 exponent 8 meter per second. So with an instant, the light, a person at position B, he will see the flash or the light. So when he will see the flash or when he will see the light, he will start the timer. And then the sound, it will take some time to reach. When he hears the bang, he will stop the timer. So basically that is the time taken by sound to travel from position A to position B. And you have the formula, speed is distance over time. Distance using a measuring tape you measured, and time interval you recorded the time interval between the lightning and the hearing the bang. So distance divided by time, you will get the speed. So this is a experiment, and same thing you have to write here in the place available. Like you have to write, you will measure the distance by using a measuring tape. Then a person at position A fires a shell or use the starting pistol. When a person at position B hears the see the flash, he will start the timer, and he will, when he hears the bang, he will stop the timer, and distance divided by time, you will get the speed. Question number 7. Any doubt in question 7? So you have to draw optical fiber optic, and show the direction, but don't show too many reflections. Only like if you draw in this manner, then it is not correct. Not too many reflections should be there. And this we already discussed in the discussion of light topic, like how optical fiber or fiber optic is used in medicine. Any other question or a doubt related to this? Was a